Well, that kind of wraps up our NWA goal structures and how they're organized and how there's the names of the goal structures and how you can access that information on the reports. And if you want more detail, you can that handout outlines how you can download that information from NWA's resource site. We're going to move into looking at the learning continuum in a little more detail. And so what I'd like us to do is open up our reports portfolio to page 8 and 9. Now on page 8 and 9 is a Descartes. Now the Descartes is organized similar to the learning continuum, and it is organized in 10-point writ bands. And if we've all got page 8 and 9 open, take your highlighter and now let's highlight some things together so we can understand some of the information on these pages. First off, let's highlight the name of the subject, and can someone tell me the subject of these reports? Okay, that's math, correct. And then highlight the name of the goal that's listed on these pages. And that goal is, that's right, measurement and data. And now, let's take and highlight the numbers in each band. And so the writ band for the first writ band is 161 to 170. Let's highlight that and highlight across. And notice how those writ bands are getting higher and higher on the scales. Okay. Now, we have the subject math, and we have the sub-goal, or we have the goal area, measurement, and data. And now I'd like us to look a little more detail and see if we can find the name of the sub-goals that's listed under measurement and detail. And highlight the name in that first 161 to 170 writ band. Highlight the name of those sub-goals. Okay, geometric measurement and problem solving is one sub-goal, and the other sub-goal represents interpreted data. Okay. Now and we'll be using these two pages in just a few seconds, and that's just getting us organized so that we can go to the next step here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look at those Descartes in a little more detail. And each table group, we assigned recorders earlier in the day. And so if your recorder can find a blank sheet of paper on the page, and let's look up here at this continuum activity. There's a sheet of paper, and we're going to fill out a sheet of paper very similar to what I have here and what's listed up on the screen here. And so we first off find the goal area, and we're going to be using today page 8 and 9. And so your goal area is, that's right, measurement and data. Now, what I want us all to look at one specific sub-goal, and can you find one of the sub-goals that talks about time? Okay, and that's geometric measurement and problem solving, correct. And what we're going to do, so that we don't have to look, everyone look at the whole page, we're going to focus into a writ band. And so this table group up here in front, you're going to have the writ band 161 to 70, and in the next table group we'll have 171 to 180. You guys are 181, you're 191. You guys bad in the back corner is 201, and over here on the left is 211. Okay, so each should be table groups has a writ band. What I want you to do now is complete the rest of the paper up here. And what you're going to need to do is, again, take your highlighter and see if you see anything that talks about time in your particular writ band, and highlight those learning statements that talk about time. Okay? And then let's place those on your goal sheet. And everyone should end up with a goal sheet similar to mine, but probably a little bit neater than mine. Okay, just give a few minutes to work on that. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you're done. Okay, great. Um, Now your spokesperson for your table group is going to come up to the front with that poster, and let's organize ourselves very like the page 8 and 9. And so let's put our lowest writ bands over here on the left, and then we'll just keep on going over to the right with the higher writ bands. Okay, it looks like we all can tell less than and greater than. Good job. Okay, now let's what we're going to do now, what we're looking at in our portfolio, reports portfolio, is the Descartes. And the Descartes is being phased out and being replaced by the new learning continuum. And so what we have up here on the screen now is what the learning continuum in the test view looks like. The test view learning continuum provides similar information as the Descartes, although we call it the learning continuum. It's new and improved and has a lot of enhancements, and we're not going to go into all of them right now, but let's take a look at what it looks like up here. We have, like in page 8 and 9, we have two views up here, and we have a low to high. And let's kind of zoom up and look at it a little bit closer. And so we notice that 161 to 170, it talks about reinforced skills and concepts. Then moving over to the right, the next writ band talks about developing skills and concepts, and then the next one would be introducing skills and concepts. We like to think about that middle band, the develop skills and concepts. That is the area which we call instructional level. And so our instructional level for anybody in 171 to 180 would be that middle band. Now, if a student had their writ band was, let's say, a 165, then their instructional level would be in that band. It's always to the writ band to the right, excuse me, to the left will be the reinforcing skills. Those are the skills that we assume the student's going to have a good grasp of, and this needs a little bit more review to get them even more solid. And then we move over to the introducing skills, and that's where the student is going. So I often say, this is where you came from, this is where you're at, this is where you're going to. And so that's what the 10-point writ bands are for. Now let's take a look at the Learning Continuum report site, what it's going to look like. And so again, it's a lot of enhancements, and if you haven't, you guys are used to using the Descartes, and so you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying there's a lot of enhancement. It just looks sharper and brighter. Well, first off is the learning statements in the new Learning Continuum. The learning statements are going to be easier to read, they're going to be more concise, and it'll be easier to understand. It's going to be easier for the teacher to understand, easier for the student to understand, parent, and so it's going to be more, and it's going to be more precise. You can group them by topic or by standard. And then we have several different ways in which we can filter them. We can filter by grades, standards, or by practice math standards, the new Common Core practice math standards. And so we could look at just fourth grade learning statements, or most fourth graders would have some kids still working in the third grade, and they'd have some kids up in the fifth grade. So we might check more than one grade so we can get them all included. And then we have, this says 4.G.1, which would be fourth grade geometry standard, the first sub-goal area. And that would be drawing points, lines, and aligned segments. And so that kind of outlines how the filter would work. And then there's going to be options in which we can display it in different ways. And eventually, the way you like to view your reports, you'll be able to save those views so that you can come in and select a view that you've already predetermined you like the way it looks and it works for you. You can just get your view and it would have your selections and everything all ready for you. that would be in your options. Well, let's take a look at now a instructional ladder where we have our high RIT scores down at the bottom and our low RIT scores at the top. And so that's very similar to what we have here. In our earlier view, when we're looking like this, we're kind of horizontal, but let's take a look where we're vertical. But let's look at the horizontal level here. And so if everyone would just take your sheet and take the top and turn it towards the right. Okay, so now we can see we have a similar report. Our human continuum up here, you guys done a good job. Our human continuum looks very similar to the learning continuum we have up on the screen, with the low RIT scores progressing over to the higher RIT scores, and we're the skills. And we can also notice, as your book outlines, is we start with time to the nearest hour, and up at the higher RIT score, we have solves difficult problems involving elapsed time with conservation of hours. And so you can see how it progressively gets higher and higher academic level. Well, thank you. And now we're going to be talking a little bit about how to plan and look at developing a lesson using the information we've just put together. So before we move on, let's give our human continuum a round of applause, and let's everyone else stand up, and let's take a little brain gym activity here and move around a little bit, and we'll process this information. Thank you.